What's going on, guys? Your host, your boy, George Mackay, back here again today. MLW Rewind, episode number 4. And I'm here with my PIC, my partner in crime, my podcast life partner, Louis Carlin. What's up, bro?
How you doing? I like that. My podcast life partner. There you go, man. I'm not gonna dis. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna disagree with that, man. I'm not gonna disagree. We are podcast life partners, and yeah, maybe we could draw up some sort of partner contract, sign it, go down to City Hall, and make it official. How about that, man?
I like it. Which city hall, though? Brampton or Windsor? Are you
We
making
could
us
do
proper
both.
drive
We
this
could
way?
do
Or
both. We could do both. Your family's in Brampton, my family's in Windsor. It'll be a double ceremony, man.
we'll meet in London. That's what we'll meet
Okay, yeah, we'll meet
halfway.
halfway. We'll meet halfway. We'll meet halfway.
Oh, all right. So this week's episode is going to be great. A little bit later on the show, we're going to be welcoming another fantastic guest. Louis, why don't you let everybody know who we'll be welcoming a little bit later on?
Okay, we will be welcoming the one and only Bud Heavy. Looking forward to speaking of Bud Heavy. He was involved in that terrific match with Low Key.
How long did that match
But
last?
yeah, it was like 8 seconds. We're gonna talk to him about that. We're gonna talk to him about his career, number of things. I'm looking forward to speaking with Bud Heavy. He's very excited. I just spoke to him a few minutes ago, and he's psyched. He'll be here at 8 o'clock, and I should say a little bit. Nobody really knows what the time is right now because they're watching. It could be any time right now, and
And
so he'll be here in he'll be here in a little bit, and we'll have fun talking to him.
absolutely, we're going to ask him all about his career, like Louis said. Going to get into definitely some low key stuff and some MLW stuff. Why? Because this is MLW Rewind, and that's what we do here. So before we bring Bud Heavy on the show, we are going to rewind to this past week's episode of Fusion, and this was a good one. This actually was one of the ones most recently. It's been a steady build for me since we've started the show, and it's been really great because there's been a ton of stuff to talk about, which has been fantastic. And this week's episode was no different, in my opinion. I believe they just keep progressing and getting better. There was a lot of surprise, especially at the end, which we'll definitely get into. But so let's start off right at the top of the show. We find out that what the hell did I write there? Somebody was attacked. Lewis, remind me who was attacked at the top of the show. Oh, that's right, ACH. My stupid autocorrect.
Yep.
Yeah, Lewis
Yep.
bugs me about my autocorrect all the time. So
Yep.
Ack was attacked earlier, and the reason why I'm saying Ack is because there was a promo later on the show that we have to talk about. But he was attacked outside of his private gym, but he was still going to compete in the main event that night for the heavyweight title against Jacob Fatu. And some people were stating that Tom Lawler was the attacker. Certain members of the Lawler family there were the attackers, but there was no physical proof. And one of the my favorite commentators, Saint Laurent, I love this guy. No video, no proof, Lewis. That's what Saint Laurent said. If there was no video, there was no proof of who
Yep.
attacked. Ah. So what do you think?
Well, you say act. We got to go right into that, man, because I was hysterical when Tom Lawler called ACH act, and he called him twice. That was fantastic. I couldn't stop laughing. I just watched it over and over again. That was terrific, man. When he called him act.
Definitely promo of the night, 100%. Kudos to Mr. Lawler on that one, 100%.
Absolutely. Now you said you said you enjoyed the episode. I had a few issues with the episode, and we'll of course we're going to discuss it.
Well, that's
But
like
what
me
match
last
you want to
week
discuss?
with my issues. I had issues with last week's episode, so it's not
Okay.
surprised that you might have issues with this week. I'm okay with that.
Okay, so what you want to talk about the main event first, or what do you want to talk about
Let's
first?
just kind of run the episode down as it was. So the first match was
Okay.
Zenshi versus Davari. This was the first time we were seeing Contra's Davari, not Impact Davari, Contra's
Yep.
Davari, and I love this match. It was great speed. That 450 off the first rope was freaking impressive. The counter by Davari with the double knees, it turned the whole match around for me. And then, big clothesline from hell, if you want to call it, JBL style clothesline, put the match away at the 1, 2, 3. So, and then at the end, like they seem to be doing a lot lately with their attack on Injustice and everything else, they laid the flag over Zenshi at the end of the match. But I really like this match. Davari showing he has not really missed a beat since we've seen him in Impact. And I like Zenshi. He impressed me. He really did. Like I'm not as surprised that he was going to impress me. His luchador background, Luchador trained, really good fighter. But all in all, I liked this match, and I thought it was a great opener because it was everything that you needed to get kind of pumped up into the show, in my opinion. What about you?
Oh no, I enjoyed the match very much, and that 450 off the first rope by Senshi was just fantastic. A shame he didn't hit it, but I mean, people have trouble hitting it off the top rope, and he hit it like perfectly off the first rope. That was fantastic. I thought it was a good debut for Davari, getting the big win. I think Contra is perfect for Davari. He fits in there nicely. He's got the right look, and I don't know if you noticed they when they during the match they announced him as a middleweight. So I don't know if that means that he's going to be a opponent for Leo Rush down the road for the middleweight title. They mentioned he's coming in as a middleweight, so he could be an opponent, possible opponent, maybe take that belt off Leo Rush down the road. But I do hope my man Myron Reed does get it, but we're not going to go into that now. But yeah, great debut. I really enjoyed the opening match. Very good match. Both guys very talented. And like I said, I really enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And yeah, you're probably right about the middleweight thing that he's definitely going to be an opponent for Leo Rush or that division. Because I mean, it kind of be stupid at this point to bring him into the heavyweight side of things with Jacob Fatu firmly in place and running that division. You can't have two members of Contra in the same division because then eventually they will have to lock horns at one
Absolutely,
form
man.
or another. So having Davari go with Jacob Fatu in the same division, even 3 months from now would be a head scratcher for both of us, and we would be wondering what the fuck Court Bauer was doing in that plan. So introducing him as a
Yeah,
middleweight makes perfect sense, makes good business sense. So that's good. So then we get right into the Myron Reed promo before the Oliver versus Gotch Grud match, and I was waiting for this match because we didn't get a chance to see it previous week. We didn't get a chance to see it the week before because Gotch was kind of running scared. The last time we seen Oliver and Gotch really tangle was just before Christmas. So we never really got to see anything of them recently in 2021 anyways. The
that's
Maya
right.
Reed promo was great, saying that they're not going to back down. They're two grown-ass men, kind of the same thing he is progressing. And also, there was also another promo that was cut in and around the same time, which was Savio Vega
Yep.
decided he had to make an appearance, and he had to tell Richard Holiday that Odele, man, that's my fucking title, bro, and you are not the champion. So there's only one way to handle this, and it's a Caribbean strap match. But he happened to even mention that the strap was from the strap match he had with Stone Cold back in the '90s in WWE In Your House pay-per-view. That's fucking crazy. If that's the same strap, there's a lot of history on that strap. A lot of dudes have been hit with that strap.
With that strap, yeah, man. That's gonna be a crazy, and that's next week, right? That match is next week.
Yep. And we weren't
Yeah,
sure
that's
we
gonna
weren't sure if Richard Holiday and his lawyer, aka his father, were going to allow him to accept the match. But as we find out later on in the episode, he did. Cut a great promo.
He did. Yeah, Richard Holiday is not one, not two, not three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, but 12 steps ahead of Savio Vega. So,
Richard
so that
Holiday,
was great, man.
yeah. So
I hope he doesn't lose, man. I hope he keeps the title, man. I hope he doesn't lose to Savio Vega.
absolutely. But I got a question for you. I got to pose this question for you. If he beats Savio Vega and retains the Caribbean Championship, will he be recognized? Will MLW recognize this title as an official MLW championship of the bracket with the rest of them? And will Savio Vega and I'm sorry, the promotion is escaping me. Is it IWC? I don't want to say it
IWA, IWA.
wrong. IWA. So will IWA recognize him as the official champion if he retains against Savio Vega in the Caribbean strap match?
I think they're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to. I think if he beats Savio Vega, I think he's earned that right. And Court Bauer, MLW, they're gonna have to recognize that title. Plus, they have a working agreement now with IWA, so they're gonna have to recognize the title, right?
Absolutely. That would be dynastic. If that could happen,
That would be dynastic. Be like breathing refined air,
rarefied air. That's okay.
rarefied air.
So just make sure when you introduce Bud Heavy, you introduce him as Bud Heavy, not Bud Henry.
Yeah, no. I'll be honest. When you said who's going to be on the show, I almost said Bud Henry,
You better get
but
that
I
out.
have it written down. I have it written down right here. Bud Heavy, Bud Heavy. So I'll get it right. It's in big font, 72 size font letters right in front of me. Bud Heavy. but I'll still get it wrong anyway. Watch.
So now we get into the third match on the evening: Gotch versus Oliver. I'll be honest with you. Jordan Oliver has not shown me a lot in the matches of him that I have seen, and I believed wholeheartedly, and my opinion was stated up until I watched this week's episode. Myron Reed was the franchise of Injustice, was the guy to move on. And once, if Injustice were to, implode tomorrow, he would be the guy that would have a very successful solo career. But I got to say, after watching this match, Jordan Oliver surprised me. He controlled most of the match. Now, mind you, Gotch won via sleeper hold and then continued to attack. But up until Gotch locked in that sleeper hold, Oliver was in control of majority of the match.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Simon Gotch was.
No.
Simon Gotch was in control most of the match. Gotch dominated the match.
Oliver had the first. Listen, Gotch had the first maybe minute or two. Oliver controlled it for at least the next 5 minutes. Then when I went outside the ring, he gained the advantage back.
I think you're mixed up. I think you think Jordan Oliver is Simon Gotch, or Simon Gotch is Jordan Oliver. I think you're mixed up.
No, I remember Simon Gotch and that stupid mustache he wore in WWE. It was not. I'm telling you. Yeah. Go back and rewatch that match.
No, I watched it twice.
To the fans. We'll pose the question to the MLW Rewind fans. Watch that match. Let me know who's right. Listen, Gotch won, but even the announcers were saying, go back and watch that match. Oliver was in control majority of the match. I'm not going to break it down to solid percentage. I'm not going to say he was in control 90% because that would be bullshit. He was in control of the match for 60% of the time. 60-40, Oliver over Gotch.
I don't know. I thought it was a good match, but I thought Gotch dominated much of the match, and it was kind of like an angry skateboarder versus a legit tough guy. Is the way I view the match. And
you really classify Gotch as a legit tough guy?
Well, that's how the match kind of came off. Okay, or like a kid challenging the best fighter in a bar or something. But it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. But that's how it looked. But Gotch did, in my opinion, dominate much of the match. Jordan Oliver did get his offense in there, and it was a good match. But I think they just kind of show that Contra is a well-trained group of assassins, and Injustice is just going to be a thorn in their side. Gotch just put him to sleep and stomped the hell out of him until Myron Reed came out. So that's the way I saw it, man.
Oh, well, we can pose the question to fans. We'll put a poll when the episode drops. But I believe it was the opposite. I believe that Oliver actually had more, and I thought you were going to be excited about this because Oliver proved me wrong and impressed me. I was not fully impressed. I know how invested you are in Myron Reed. I'm surprised you're not as invested in Jordan Oliver, just because right now they are attached together. It's one name or the other. There's one is synonymous with the other. So I believe that Oliver surprised me enough in this match to win me over as somebody that I want to keep my eye on to see what could potentially work down the line.
Well, but just because I thought Simon Gotch dominated Oliver doesn't mean I'm not invested in Oliver. I like Oliver a lot. I think he's a very talented wrestler. But I think in this specific match, I think Gotch got the better of Oliver. That's all, man. But I am a fan of Oliver.
And then he put him in the sleeper hold and then attacked him when he was down.
Yeah.
Listen, I have no respect for Gotch. I love Gotch. I think Gotch is a great wrestler. I can respect somebody's skill set with not respecting them as a person. I think Gotch is arrogant as shit. I've actually met him in person. He's not one of the nicest guys that I've met, and that's just me being me. He's one of the wrestlers that kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth.
Well, I'll be honest. I did have a bad Twitter exchange with him, so I will agree with you on that, I should say. But he's not the easiest guy to speak to.
Exactly, and that's what I think you need to remember right now at the basis of not you, but him in general. The fans are everything. So when the world does open back up and everything kind of subsides and we are allowed to have certain amounts of fans in the show, whether it's limited seating or what have you, the fans are what's going to continue. And I bet you if you go on MLW.com and you go through the t-shirt sales, I can bet you Simon Gotch's t-shirts are not telling.
Okay. Bud Heavy probably have sold more t-shirts than Simon Gotch is basically what you're saying there.
Yes, and I'll say this, in that match alone with Jordan Oliver, Simon Gotch surpassed all time that in total, and then some. He's bank time that Bud Heavy spent in an MLW ring. We calculated it's about 100. It's about a minute 7 seconds, minute and 8 maybe we'll say. It's 58 seconds, but no, minute 6. It's a minute 6, And
Okay.
Simon Gotch has spent more time inside an MLW.
I hope Bud has a good sense of humor
I'm
because
sure,
we're
I'm sure he does. And
I'm sure he
if he does,
does. I'm
then
sure he
I'll
does.
apologize on the record now before we bring him on the show. It's just you have to see it from our perspective. A minute six in total between two matches that we've seen. Now, again, when you do your research, the great thing is that you book this guy. And when you did when that kind of forced me to have to do my research and dig a little deeper. And what I did find, some of his matches that are on that are on YouTube, are actually really good, and they're a
I
lot
know.
longer than a minute
Yeah,
six.
no. Yeah, I've
And
watched a
how does he
few.
know? He does. He does. I just wish
They're
that
pretty good. He's
yeah, I wish that he would be able to showcase it more than
maybe he will.
what we saw.
Well, maybe he will. Maybe we'll see it.
Well, maybe. Look at that. Lewis is making bold predictions. Bud Henry is going to be a full time MLW star. Is that
Yeah,
you?
Bud, Buck. He's gonna team with Buck Henry.
All right. So, regardless of the fact, Oliver impressed me enough to now say I'm invested like you are with him. You think he's a great talent. I
Okay.
was kind of on the
Yep.
fence. That match, he turned the corner for me. I'll have to go back and
Okay.
rewatch it. Maybe you're right. And if you're right on the next MLW Rewind, I'll retract my statement. But this time I'm firmly invested in what I said. I believe in myself.
Yeah, I want 5 wall push-ups if I'm correct.
God, Richard Holiday, you don't get 5 wall push-ups. Listen, you'll get this. Lewis, you were right.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all you're
And
gonna
I'll
get.
tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll watch it again as well. And if you're right, I'll do the same thing.
Perfect. Nobody has to do
Okay.
wall push-ups. Nobody has to rarefied. None of it. It's all good.
Okay. All
Oh,
right. Sounds good.
all right. So
Fair
now,
enough.
after that, and again, the Gotch, the continued attack. Lawler was confronted about being the possible attacker of ACH by Alicia Atout. And that's when the great promo came into effect. Lawler said that he was not there. He was on Filthy Island looking for the best place to house wrestling matches because Filthy Island is coming up in mid-February. Um, but I don't buy it. What about you? You buy it that I buy he might not have been there, but I don't buy that he didn't orchestrate, as we'll find out a little bit later.
Oh no, of course he orchestrated it. I mean, he's upset that he won the opera cup and he didn't get the shots and it went to Ach. But
That's never gonna
but
go.
yeah, he yeah, he absolutely orchestrated it, man, 100%. I think ACH identified Dominic Guarini as the attacker, but it was definitely orchestrated by Tom Lawler.
Yeah,
No doubt in my mind.
we found that out just before ACH's entrance to the main event.
Yeah.
But something else kind of happened. We were supposed to have Alicia Altu and Selena De La Renta. It was supposed to happen. Now it did, but it didn't at the same time because she again blew her off. So we're trying to find out who the new owner of Promociones Dorado is. And we found out later on the show that an anonymous source says power was transferred from Selena to Azteca Underground Inc. And when asked about what was going on with that, Selena, like I said, blew off Alicia, not before saying what is next for Mel Mortis. She wants the gold, she wants the power, and Alicia find out still who Alicia vowed to find out who Selena is working for. So I pose this question to you. Mel Mortis, we already know the man of 1,000 deaths. He's going to be big. He's going to be an unstoppable force for sure in MLW. But him having the gold means she gets the power. But what's she going to use that power for once she gets it? I feel like this woman is much like Richard Holiday. She's 9, 10, 11, 12 steps ahead of everybody else. And we have yet to see exactly what her end game is. But what are your thoughts on that, I guess, one question interview before she walked out on Alicia?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a little longer than one question, but I was a little disappointed in that. But I think they have another. I saw on Twitter saying that they have another. They're supposed to be doing another interview today online, so maybe they'll finally. I think Selena canceled on her 3 times already, so maybe they'll get it done today. But I was a little confused. I wasn't when Selena said she wants gold. I'm thinking, well, we're gonna get Mil Muertes versus for two, but then Alicia Atout says, that she's going to get to the bottom of this and figure out what really is going on here. And clearly, whoever Selena is working for wants to keep this secret. Wants to keep what secret? We find out who the new owner of I can't pronounce the first word, but Dorado is Azteca Underground. I'll screw it up, man. Azteca Underground Inc. There's no secret there. Selena says she wants gold. So what secrets is does Selena want to have kept? I don't understand. I'm not following.
Well, who's the owner of Azteca Underground Inc.? We don't know who that is. We know there's a name now.
Okay, so
Now
that's the
we know there's
secret.
a
That's
company.
the secret that
Exactly. We know there's a
that
company. For
that
all we
Alicia.
know,
Okay.
maybe she's the owner of Azteca Inc. Maybe she's incorporated Promociones Dorado in with Azteca. I'm not sure. But the secret is who now is the head of, or who is Azteca Underground Inc. Is this another person that we're going to bring in? And could potentially this person, I mean, it sounds almost like down the line at some point, and again, I'm thinking far more moves ahead. Right now, Contra has Oliver and Reed to deal with, and Max Kruger also has Hammerstone to deal with in a couple weeks as well. But in the interim, what if down the line, once we get past all these storylines and these angles wrap up, what if there's going to be this Promocios Dorado versus Contra for like the ultimate faction in MLW? Just go with me on it for a second. I may be off kilter, but go with me on it. Maybe this is what they're setting up. Because if they are setting up Mel Mortis versus Fatu, then that would kind of almost make it like Contra versus Promociones Dorado or Azteca Inc., whatever the fuck they're going to call it when it's all said and done. Maybe Azteca Dorado. I don't know. But could this be potential of what we could be seeing down the line? And again, this is going to take a few weeks or possibly months to develop this whole thing. But could this be an angle that might be in the works?
Dude, you just got me very excited, man. I think so, man. I'm just you're talking about it, and my eyes are getting as big as saucers as you're talking about it, man. That sounds awesome. I think you're right there, man. I think they're gonna, and I hope they slowly build up Muertas versus Fatu. I hope that doesn't happen really quick. I hope it's a slow build. But I think you're right there. I'm gonna give you that one. You are 100% right there. I believe.
Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that, and that's
You're
kind of what I
welcome.
see in my head. So I think all we can say is, you guys got to keep tuning into MLW every week to find out what's going on. But this is definitely could be something in the works down the line. But you're right; it's got to be a slow build. We can't just have this build for a month and then it's Mortis versus Fatu because then all the air is just going to be blown out of the sails. It's not going to make any sense. We'll wrap it up quickly because we do have Bud Heavy coming on shortly. But so again, like Lewis mentioned a couple minutes ago, ACH identified Guarini as the attacker. Holiday accept Vegas challenge with that amazing promo of 9, 10, 11, 12 steps ahead. And we're going to see that match in a couple weeks, the Caribbean strap match. And now we get into the main event. Fatu versus, say it, Lewis. Ah,
Ah,
ah.
before we go there, don't forget Alexander Hammerstone against Matt Kruger in the Backley Brawl is going to be taking place in 2 weeks. They
Exactly.
announced that as well.
Yes, they
Yeah,
did announce that as well. So is
yeah.
again, are we going back to what we said last week? Is this going to be a cinematic match, and is this going to take place in the Contra lair, or is this just going to be around the arena?
I think it's just going to be around the arena.
We're still not going to see.
I yeah, I have a feeling it's just going to be in the arena.
Okay. Well, I mean, you
We'll
can't put
see.
it in a lair without showing it eventually down the line. So there's got to be something cinematic done there, or show me a treehouse. Maybe Hammerstone will cut a sweet promo in a treehouse. That would be fucking amazing because he's so big that there's no way he could fit inside a child's treehouse. He'd have to have like a Robinson Crusoe style treehouse. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm hoping that happens. I really am. All right, so Fatu versus ACH. I'll say my thoughts on this match. Fatu, what can I say? Guy's a beast. ACH was not 100%. He had his ribs taped, and Fatu knew it. Like anybody who knows wrestling psychology 101, the minute you have any part of your body taped, it is going to be a target. It's like a bullseye on your back. You have your arm taped, they're going to go after it. Your knee taped, they're going to go after it. Your ribs taped, they're going to go after it. So Fatu was all over the ribs. ACH definitely had his moments where he got some offense in there for sure. But what can we say? Fatu wins with the pop-up Samoan drop, which is a move I fucking love. And then the springboard moonsault. And for a dude that is 300 plus pounds, there's only one other guy, in my opinion, that moves like he does in the ring for a guy his size, and that's Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens has so much athletic ability. Him and Fatu move very well for two very, very big guys. And they can do a lot from the top rope. And I love that MLW allows Fatu the freedom, doesn't strain the moves. And another thing that I don't think we've ever mentioned, but a lot of people know if you do watch MLW, is I love the 20 count A lot of people don't mention that enough, but I love the 20 count on the outside because it gives these guys a little extra creativity to do some cool shit on the outside and not just chairs or announce tables or anything like that. They get to do some cool shit with that 20 count outside. But yeah, Fatu wins, like we said, in convincing fashion. I'll give it up to ACH. He definitely got some moves in there. Was not 100% because of the attack. But yeah, Fatu retains. And then we'll get into obviously what happened right before they went off. But Lewis, your thoughts on the main event?
Thought it was a good main event. You're right. Jacob Fatu is one of the best in the business right now, but I think I didn't. I didn't really like the ACH injured storyline because while it was a good main event, it could have been a great main event. But that injury storyline was kind of preventing ACH from being the best ACH that we normally see in the ring. So I thought it took away from the match. I was very excited when they first announced it. I thought we are gonna get a really, really good, a fantastic match, but it was a good match. Jacob Fatu dominated. Went like you said, though. Ak got in his offense, and I hope he's okay with me calling him Ak. But no, he got in his offense. But I just wish they didn't do the whole injury storyline thing because it really could have been a. It was like I said, it was a good match, but it could have been a really great match.
You're right. You're right.
It's
You're right.
yeah.
No, I actually agree with you on that. But I thought from the offense that ACH showed, and again taking it away, he had to kind of slow his roll and slow it down to play off the injury. But all in all, I liked it. It could have been a great main event, like you said. Probably could have stole the night. Obviously, with two other matches that were okay on the card, it definitely was match of the night regardless. But yeah, they could have done a little something more with it. But obviously, that's setting up something. ACH and Lawler. Maybe this is a new thing for Lawler and the Dirty Blondes. Maybe this is that Lawler's going to go after anybody that gets a title shot until he gets a title shot. Maybe this is what we're looking at. I don't know.
Okay.
This could be something. This could be something that we could see down the line too. But right before everything went off the line and before we give our grades, so as Fatu and Davari were cutting a promo because Davari was at ringside with Fatu, those Senti Death Squad members they swung the Contra flags at Fatu and Davari. Then the rest of Contra came out, and lo and behold, they're unmasked and shocker, who is it? Oh, it's Reed and Oliver. That's right. Injustice kind of got a little bit a little bit of vengeance, a little bit of payback on Contra, which obviously Contra is going to deal with next week. Considering how mucked up Oliver looked in the ring after he was choked out and then continually assaulted by Gotch at the end of that match, I'm surprised he was standing. I'll be honest with you, but he looked coherent enough to have a grin from ear to ear as they walked out the other side of the arena, him and Reed, and they got a little bit. They are proving what they're saying by saying they're not going to be pushed around. Now, obviously, when Contra gets them in the ring, the story may be different. But for right now, they are proving that if you hit us, we're going to hit you. So, what's your thoughts on that before we get into the grades and we welcome our guest to the show?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got to agree with you on that. And I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, wow, Jordan Oliver was just choked out, and he was stomped on, and he was hit with a Gotch pile driver, but now he looks like he looks really fresh and ready to go again, man. He looked fine, but
They're
uh,
amazing.
yeah, but like I said, they're going to be injustice is going to be a thorn in the side of Contra, and they're going to be doing these little sneak attacks because they're clearly outnumbered. They can't stay there and fight; they just do their thing and they take off and run. So they're going to be a thorn in the side of injustice, and I'm hoping maybe down the line we'll see Fatu defend against Myron Reed. I think that would be a dynamic match, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree
Yeah.
with you on that. So, I'll give my grade this week before we welcome our guest to the show. I'm going to say this was I enjoyed this week. I thought it was, not as good as last week, and last week I gave it a B. So I'm gonna give this one a C plus. I thought it was great. It could have been a little bit better. I still think I'm right about Oliver over Gotch and just controlling the match, but we'll have to go back and watch it,
Mhm.
and we'll pose that to the
Yeah.
fans before we drop the episode. But
Okay.
I'm gonna give this one a C
Okay.
plus because I agree with some of the things. I like that this match was this week was more of a transition week. They're building storylines. We're getting new pieces of information. New rivalries are being developed, and new angles are being worked. So C plus for the effort. It was great to see Alicia back because she always adds a little bit of flavor for me uh, on the show. And yeah, C plus for me. Again, that main event, I agree with you. That main event could have been a lot better had we had 100% ACH instead of like 75% ACH.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go same grade as last week, B minus. It would have been a little lower, but any episode that has Jacob Fatu on the show um, gets uh, gets bonus points for me. Love Jacob Fatu, as I said, fantastic talent. I thought the matches were good. Again, Simon Gotch dominating Jordan Oliver was fantastic, and we're gonna prove it when we both watch it. Well, I say it's fantastic, but it was a good match. And the opening match, I thought the opening match you could argue that the opening match might have been the best match of the night. You could argue it. I'm not saying it was, but you can argue that maybe it was. But it was good to see Davari. It's good to see. I think Davari is, like I said, is good in the Contra role. I think he's going to do much better in MLW than Impact Wrestling, and I enjoyed it. So B minus for me, man.
All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. And guys, don't forget you can catch this episode and all our previous episodes on our YouTube pages, Alliance Pro Wrestling Network for Lewis and Straight Talk Wrestling for George. So you can go there, subscribe to either of our pages or both of our pages, and you can watch all this plus our own side hustles that we do because we only collaborate together on this one. We're only podcast life partners on this one. And and now's the time because here we go. Bud Heavy has entered the room. So let's welcome our guest to the show. Hey,
Hey,
there he is.
Hey, how's
here
it
we
going,
are.
man?
Good, man. How are you guys?
We're
I'm
great. We're
doing
great.
good. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
for
man.
coming. Thank you
Thanks for
coming.
having me, man. I appreciate it a lot, man.
No problem. This is MLW Rewind. You know Lewis. You've been talking with him. He's the man that set this up. So kudos to Lewis. I am the other half, the better looking half, the younger half. Your host, your boy, Jordan Kai. So, Bud, the way it's going to work, we're going to talk a little bit about you. Obviously, we do want to get into MLW and how things have played out for you thus far. And I will be honest, when you do watch this, we were, kind of cracking a couple of jokes just based on the 8 seconds, and I'm sure you understand that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you understand that. So I'm going to pass it over to my podcast life partner, as I call him. Lewis, go ahead and ask Mr. Heavy the first question of the night.
Oh, first question, man. The low key match, but before we get into that match, I just want to ask, where can I get a 6-pack of Freedom T-shirt, man? I thought that was fantastic.
Dude, you can definitely get it on the Facebook, man. I sell them on the store and I sell them in person, man. They're pretty good, man. They go pretty well.
Okay, man. Yeah, I'm definitely looking to get one of those. That was great, man. I love the T-shirt, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It's funny, I get the question like the first time I worked for MLW, they were like, "What is the 6-pack of Freedom shirt?" And I was like, "Dude, seriously? Look at it." And they looked at it and they were like, "Oh, we get it." It was great.
All right, so
Man.
Bud, what is your defining moment? I like to call it the moment where we fell in love with wrestling. Do you remember yours?
I absolutely do, man. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my dad had taken me to a WCW show, and I was sitting front row. And I'll never forget it, man. It was Ric Flair was there, and I don't remember who he was wrestling. I'll just never forget that he was sitting in the corner. Um, he had taken some boots, and they got away from him, and he was in the corner, and somebody yelled something at him, and he turned around, and it's like he was so snappy with the comeback, and he said whatever he said to him. And I just remember thinking, like, this guy is in here performing, pretty much a one-take stunt show and can still, like, react the way he did. And I just remember thinking, like, these guys are superior as far as, like, acting and being athletes go. And just wrestling in general is just an amazing thing. So I can remember that moment vividly. That's the one where I was like, Dad, one day, that's going to be me.
Very cool moment. Very cool for sure.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Cool, man. So you were trained by Jay Lethal. So tell us about the training and what's Jay Lethal like as an instructor?
Yeah, so Jay was my second trainer. Prior to that, I was trained by Team 3D, believe it or not, which is Devon
Okay.
Dudley and Bubba Ray.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started there, and I was there for about 7 months, and I tore my bicep during training. And it was just a really unfortunate training accident. It happens. And they were in Orlando. I'm in Tampa, so they were a little far away. So I drove back to, or I then found out that, Jay had a school in Tampa. So I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'll tell you this, man. He's an amazing trainer. Takes a lot of one-on-one time with the students. Even if the class is a larger class, he still somehow manages to fit the time in. He's so hands-on. From the basics all the way to all the crazy bumps that we take. He finds out what fits your style, and he really helps you figure out how you're going to be as a worker. Um, A lot of the time with the trainers, it's just let's get the 20 or 30 basic moves and get them out the door. They'll find out who they are on the indies by themselves. He doesn't let that happen. He'll text me randomly, you know what you should do in a match, and then give me a spot, because he just in his head pictured Bud doing it. I guess I don't know. It's amazing.
That's
He
fantastic.
seems
That's
like
really cool.
he seems like he could be an intense instructor. Is that correct? Could he be pretty
Absolutely,
intense?
absolutely. He definitely doesn't play games. If you're not listening, and if you're not being respectful to the business, to the others in the class, now he's got a secondary trainer. Ryan Big Connor from formerly known as the Ascension, is helping him
Okay.
train there too. Yeah. And so they're both intense characters, obviously, and they're definitely a different different moment when you're in there with the two of them, and these guys are who they are. But before they start class, they're just normal guys, and I swear it's when they become coaches, it's a whole different personality for sure.
All right. Cool, man. Cool.
So, I mean, I got to ask, we were, a lot of our previous episode, we were kind of calling you the 8 second king. Right? And you had a better chance of being a bull rider than you did in lasting in an official wrestling match. Now, we've pinned both of your matches. We've timed both. The first match you were in MLW was against Max Kruger. You actually lasted 58 seconds,
I didn't know
which
that.
is pretty cool. Your second MLW match did not fare as well. You lasted 50 seconds less. Yes, that would be 8 seconds. So I gotta ask, when Loki hit you, I mean, he hit you hard, and it looked pretty rough. How did you feel after that?
All I saw were bright white lights, man. All I remember was the shirt coming off, looking up and seeing this monster come straight across the ring faster than I can blink my eyes. All I remember was laying there thinking, "Wow, I feel like I got hit by a semi truck." And I'm laying there, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder how long that was, because just like you guys, like that didn't even. I feel like nothing even happened except for getting hit. Like, did anything else happen? But yeah, I was out, man. He drilled me like a semi truck for sure, man.
So who's tougher, low key or Matt Kruger? I know the Matt Kruger match was a handicap match, but who's tougher, man?
Ooh, ooh. I would have to say, uh, just on intimidation factor alone, and everybody's probably like, yeah, on intimidation, it's got to be Mads, right? No, 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 no. I feel like it's all smoke and mirrors with Mads, man. I mean, he's a scary guy, don't get me wrong, but the math, Contra, all that stuff. He doesn't need any of that, man. He's just scary being Loki. He just across the ring from you, looking like he's from another world. Just such a monster, you know.
Yeah.
So after the match in the back, did Loki like come checking you? I mean, I don't want to pull back kayfabe. Obviously, Loki's Mr. Badass. I dealt with this. You got to. This is my year. Blah 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 blah. I get it. Opera Cup finalist. But in the back, when everything was done, after the doctors checked you out, I hope there was no concussion or anything like that. But did Loki like offer you a few words? Did he come and say, "Hey man, great 8 seconds. Anything?"
All he told me was, "Nice try, kid." That's pretty much it. I mean, it was literally along the lines of um of him walking back, and I mean, I'm in the moment of getting checked out because obviously, I got hit. And he was like, and I don't know if you've ever heard Loki talking. It's a real intimidating low voice. He said, "Nice try, kid," and just walked by me, and I was thinking, well, that was different, you know, for sure.
So I gotta ask, man. I gotta ask. So is Mil Muertes next? Are you going one on one with Mil Muertes?
Oh, the man of 1,000 deaths. Jeez. Well, one could only hope, man. One could only hope that I just get to face everyone who's scary. I can't just get a normal guy. No, just put Bud in there with anyone who's scary.
I think that's kind of the trend that they're going, or at least that's super intensity. If,
Yeah.
if Court Bauer came up to you, like the next MLW you're at, if Court Bauer came up to you and said, "All right, listen, but I want to do you and Loki too. I want to give this another go." Would you agree?
I'd probably hesitate in fear for my life, but absolutely, man. Even though I got hit by a semi truck and laid out, um, the fan in me, when that music kicked and seeing, Loki come out of that entryway was enough. It was worth the semi truck hit. I'll openly admit I'm a big fan of the guy, so.
Absolutely, for sure, 100. I love the honesty in the answer. I do. I love
Of course.
Great answer, man. Great answer. So I've been watching some of your matches on YouTube. Zach Monster, Rod Grimes, and you're very good in the ring, man. You have good in ring
Thank you.
talent. My
Thank you.
pleasure, man. My pleasure. So I was thinking, like, if you could get a real opportunity in MLW, I was thinking, like, if the Dirty Blondes ever needed a third member, would you be interested? Have you ever thought? Have you thought about that?
It is so funny you say that. Those are two of my best friends in the world. Michael
Okay.
Patrick and Leo Bryan have helped me along the way in my career so much. They actually, funny story. They had an open seat in a car to go to North Carolina, and so I took the opportunity and jumped in with them and rode. And I ended up on that show. I wasn't supposed to wrestle, and I ended up wrestling Kevin Sullivan. And
Wow.
that's because of them. It was because of no one else but them. They went and they told everyone, give him an opportunity, give him an opportunity, and I got Kevin freaking Sullivan. And let me tell you something. I got color, and
Okay.
and I had a wild moment, but yeah, man. Everyone that sees the three of us together, when they do, that's the first thing they go to is, man, this is just a perfect faction, a perfect trio, if you will, of the Dirty Blondes.
Well, hopefully Court Bauer's listening, and we'll get it going, man.
One could hope, man. He
Yeah.
the first time I worked for him, when he saw me, he said the same thing. He said, "Man, you just fit right in with those dudes, man." And I was like, "Well, I'm right here. Come on now, like opportunity."
Oh, you gotta hook us up then. You gotta tell them how fantastic the boys over at MLW Rewind are, and we gotta get them on the show.
Of course,
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. I gotta
of
do it.
course, I will.
Gotta do it. So, going back to your history for a second, when you were younger, did you have any like wrestlers that you gravitated towards to that you like literally were like, yes, these are guys who I not so much emulate, but I want to look at these guys for inspiration. I mean, you mentioned Ric Flair, so I'm going to say he's probably in the running. But if you want to give me another one or two of guys you derive some inspiration from.
Yeah, I think another obvious one is Dusty. Dusty, I'm a fat blonde kid. What can I say? And then actually DDP. And I know that blows a lot. Like I told Jay that he asked me like who my favorite wrestler was. Everybody was throwing out Shawn Michaels and all those guys, and I was like DDP, and he was like, "Wait, what? Why?" Not that he's not great or anything, but that's just different. And I said the DDP started late in the business as far as like his age and then being physical in the ring. He started late. And I just feel like no matter what he was given, he was so charismatic and so energetic with whatever he was doing. It didn't matter how terrible that he was used in certain places or the character he was given in another place. He seemed to just always exude what wrestling was just get over, and he did it. He did it. So those guys are definitely my top. But Dusty's and another one, Dick Murdoch. And I'm sure you can tell by the look, the one knee pad and the trunks. Dick Murdoch was a big influence on me too. Those are some of the best punches in the business.
I gotta say, I like your top three. I really do. And yeah, DDP is definitely different, but he's somebody that you can derive a lot of respect from. Somebody who started late in the game, went on to become a world champion, Hall of Famer. The list goes on, and he's helped a bunch of people. And that
Yeah.
documentary with Jake the Snake, I mean, that shit was emotional as fuck. I wept a few times in that.
Yeah, it brought tears to my eyes, dude. It definitely did. It definitely did.
Absolutely.
Of positivity, but still.
So, man, so when did you have your first match, man? Tell me about the first match, and how did you feel before the match, and how did you feel after the match, man? You must have been nervous before the match, man.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago on January 28th. You guys are hitting it not too far from the date. It was wild, man. It's something like I said, I always dreamed about doing, and I never knew how to do it. So when I finally figured out how to get into training and everything, even when I was training, I still don't think I ever thought I'd have a match. The first one was against one of our students, one of Jay's, JC Vega. He's still around. Um, and it was an 8 minute match, which is quite long for a first match, and it went really good in my eyes. No one got hurt. That's probably the most important thing. We had a blast, and the fans seemed to dig it. We were the first match on the card, curtain jerking, um, and I just remember coming out of there and thinking to myself, like, I have never felt more at home in anything I've ever done than in between those ropes. And so I knew right then and there after I hit the 1 2 3, which thankfully I got to go over. After the 1 1 2 3, I remember thinking, that's it. I want that feeling all the time, and that's when the passion was there for sure through training, but afterwards it increased tenfold for sure.
Awesome, man. I just noticed, are you wearing, is that an ACDC headband you got on?
It
Oh
is,
man,
yeah.
you just scored a few more points with me, man.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's
All
definitely,
right,
yeah.
man. Cool, man. Yeah, I
I
saw the. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Josh.
I don't mind ACBC. They're not my go-to, but I appreciate the headband. That's all I was going to say. I already liked you. You didn't need to score extra points with me. I'm not
Oh,
like
well, thank you.
I don't look for favoritism.
Yeah.
I get
Well,
that.
no, I liked him. I liked him as well, but I like him even more now because he's ACDC fan.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your statement, sir.
Okay. No, I'm done. You go ahead. It's your turn.
Oh,
You're
okay.
up, man.
You got something else
You're
to
up.
say? Okay, my bad. All right.
Yep.
So, will your appearances, but if they happen more frequently, or you get more opportunities on MLW, do you think you'll be able to showcase a little bit more of than what's been allowed? I mean,
Uh,
let's be honest. We again total of 1 minute and 6 TV time. Do you think, and again, like Lewis has stated and I have stated, we did our research because that's what we pride ourselves on is doing our research. And the matches that we found of you are impressive. You do have a great skill set, and I just think it would be a shame if it didn't get showcased a little bit more than what we've seen so far.
Man, I really appreciate that. I feel the same way. I always feel like if they don't take the shot, they'll never know. Obviously, and so I'm hoping that they think the same thing. Let's give the dude an opportunity to show us what he's got in the ring because all I've done so far, like you said, is 1 minute and 6 seconds of TV time. Prior to that, I have worked for them twice in Chicago for their first pay-per-view that they did. I was on a dark match before it all started, and that went really well. I still I had to show a little bit of bud, just a little bit, but just enough that they obviously made the phone call for the second time, which was again another dark match in Orlando during their TV tapings prior to the pandemic. And it went really well there. The fans, and I'm not going to sit here and put myself over it. They chanted my name for some reason, which was really weird. And Court even was like, "Wow, that's wild, buddy." And then the call came for the opportunity for Mads and Loki, and I had to take it. But I'm hoping maybe they'll bite. I'm hanging the lure out there. I'm right here. They know where to find me.
And like I said, man, perfect third member of Dirty Blondes, man. We're talking to him right now, man.
But
Court
dude,
Barrow, sign him up. Sign him up, Court. Come on.
heck yeah,
Third
man.
member.
If you're watching this,
All
man,
right,
let him
man.
know, man. Let him know for sure, because
Absolutely.
I need the opportunity, man. It'd be great to show him what I got.
All right, man. Well, hopefully it's gonna happen soon, man. So as I said, we've seen a few of your matches on YouTube. Is there one match that stands out as your favorites, and why would you call it your favorite match?
Wow. There's a lot that have had moments. The one that I'll say is my favorite was actually a doors, ladders, and chairs match, which is ridiculous. But it was for the tag team belts at Tampa Bay Pro Wrestling, and we won the belts. And my mom was there, and my whole family, my mom, my wife, my son, all of them were there. That was a really cool moment. They don't get to be at every show because obviously it's all the time. It's every weekend, and they can't just set time aside. But that was a moment where it was like I stood up on the ladder and I grabbed the belts, and I just remember looking in the crowd and thinking, "Wow, like that was the best moment." As of right now, I'd say that's probably career top for sure. Um,
All right,
Mind
very
blowing.
cool, man. Very cool, man.
So, do you think, in all honesty, that MLW may be doubting your abilities? Because again, like I said, we joked, we jabbered, we laughed, but then when Lewis said, "Hey, I'm booking," but it was like, okay, cool. We started to do our research. Again, we saw what we saw on YouTube, and you've impressed both of us. you think that MLW may be downing your ability a little bit, considering you had two great dark matches, you had fans chanting your name at one of them, and then you get 58 seconds and then 8 seconds?
I would hate to say yes, but sometimes it feels that way. Like I don't want to be the guy that puts words in their mouth or thoughts in their head. But sometimes it feels that way, and naturally, I think with someone who well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, someone that looks like me. Sometimes people doubt me right off the bat. Anyway, they don't notice that beneath the layers, if you will, there's a slight athlete. I like to think that I can move for my size, and I like to think that I can do some things that other guys can't do as well. My abilities are, I hone in on what I do good, and I do it damn good. I mean, I do. I feel like sometimes that's the case, but I don't feel like they're the only ones. There's a lot of indies that do it too. Naturally, again, just I think it's they say judging a book by its cover almost.
100%. I'll be honest with you. When I saw you against Loki, I looked at my daughter. I was watching with my daughter, and I said, "This guy's gonna get hurt."
Yeah.
8 seconds later. So I doubted you, but again, I'm proud to say, and I'm proud to say it now on camera so everyone can hear it. I was wrong. I did my research, and like I said, for a guy your size, you impressed me. Don't get it wrong. I get comparisons to Kevin James, and I've been compared to Bubba Ray Dudley before. So I get
Yeah.
it. I do.
It happens.
I get compared to George Costanza.
Oh my God! I just saw it. Oh shit, Louis, you should have said that.
From
Brother.
Seinfeld.
Open a can of worms, dude. Can of worms.
I can see it.
You can see it.
It was on the garbage. It was on the top of the trash, Jerry.
Oh, can of
Um,
worms.
this is amazing. I could have asked for a better moment in time right now.
Right?
All right, well, I should have kept quiet, man. Now I'm not going to hear the end of it for the rest for 2021. I'm going to be George Costanza now. Watch.
DC to the building.
Oh.
Okay, man. So tell me the origins of the name Bud Heavy. How did you come up with that name?
So I had another name, like every independent wrestler goes through a couple of them. And this one,
Okay.
he was a full different character, if you will. I hate using that word, but whatever. And somebody was like, dude, you just, I was trying to be something I wasn't. Like, I mean, that's just the honest, I was trying to be something I wasn't. And they're like, you just need to be you. You drink a lot of beer and you party. Why not just bring that into the, to the gimmick? And I said, well, that works. That's not far fetched, I guess. But what would I call myself? And somebody joked because I had a Bud Light in my hand. And they were like, Bud Heavy, and I was like, haha, you're funny. And then it just sat for a minute, and I was like, well, that's not the worst thing I've ever heard. I've heard a lot more ridiculous things than that. And then I guess it just like I printed it on a shirt, and I looked at it in person. My wife and I, we make T-shirts. So I made one on a T-shirt with the name, and I looked at it, and I was like, you know what? Just seeing it like on something like tangible, it's not that bad. And it just stuck, man. And ever since then, it's just been. I hardly even go by my my regular name, if you will. Most people just say Bud.
Okay, there we go, man. Very good, very cool.
Fantastic. So your Twitch channel, everyone's got one nowadays. I guess I got to ask, with all the competition out there, what inspired you to start one, and what games do you play? And hopefully we can get you some subscribers out of this interview, which would be awesome for you. But what could subscribers come to expect from your content?
So the reason I started one prior to wrestling and having my first son or my first child, I was a professional Call of Duty player. And so I played competitively and at a decently high level, and I will throw the air quotes here, I retired due to the fact that, having a child, I felt like I needed steady income. So I had to do something. And then wrestling came around. So it took time off of that. But with a lot more free time as far as like managing my schedule goes, I figured, now's the time to do this. Let's have some fun and play games with my homies and talk to people. Is pretty much what inspired me to do. I just wanted to get out there and socialize, but without having to socialize. Subscribers can, dude. my channel is all about having fun, dude. I play a lot of Call of Duty, um, and I play a lot of other games, but mostly COD is the one that I stick with. Create some laughable moments. Talk about wrestling, talk about beer, just hang out, man. I really don't try to create any kind of like super competitive environment. I'm probably gonna lose a lot more than I win just because I'm having more fun than I am being serious, So
In case anybody wants to subscribe, what's the how do they find you on Twitch?
it's twitch.tv/bud_heavy.
All right,
Yep.
fantastic, man.
Yeah, man. I
Get out
appreciate
there
that.
and subscribe to his Twitch channel, to Bud Heavy's Twitch channel.
Please do.
Okay, so you mentioned on here that you're a dad and a husband. So I just want to ask, how do you juggle being a dad, husband, and a professional wrestler needing to support a family? How do you juggle all that? Because that's a heavy load, man.
Yeah, not easy, man. I have the most supportive wife in the world. I can't put her over enough. Without her, I wouldn't be in this business. She literally found Team 3D and signed me up because I made a joke for like a week long. I would joke with her that I could be a wrestler. I could do that. I could do that. And she's like, shut up, put your money where your mouth is. So she found the school and signed me up and made me go on the tour and then and started the training. And then with Jay, she did the same thing. After I tore my bicep, I was done. I didn't want to wrestle anymore. And she found Jay's school and introduced me to Jay and said, listen, just give it one more shot. Like this, I have faith in you. Just give it one more shot. And so, without her, I wouldn't be here. And as far as juggling it goes, it's wild, man. She's like I said, she's so supportive that like if I have to be gone for the whole weekend, she just shoulder shrugs it off. I get it. It's part of the business, honey. There's been times that I left on a Thursday to head to Chicago on a Friday without knowing, until that day. Literally, I got to leave that night and be in Chicago. It happens. And I can't say enough. She's just so supportive. And I just had my daughter on January 5th. And so now I've got my son and my daughter, and my son is now, he'll be 5 in March, and he absolutely loves watching, just like seeing his daddy get beat up. Never cheers for me when I'm winning. He only cheers when I'm losing. So hopefully we can still, and all last year all I did was wrestle. I didn't have a regular 9 to 5, if you will, due to the fact of just so much wrestling that I couldn't do it. So I dropped it, and she was just so supportive. It's wild, mind blowing.
Great stuff.
Congrats on your daughter, by the way. That's all. I'm a girl dad. I have 2 daughters myself, so congrats on your growing family. That's amazing.
Thank you, man. It scares me to death, but thank you.
I'll give you some tips after, man. It's all about waiting until they're 13. They're going to start dating. The goal is to make one boyfriend shit their pants, and then you retire. That's good. It's good. It's good, bro.
Yes, there you go.
So my last question, then I'm going to kick it over to my friend GC. So, George Costanza, it's ticking. Okay, so this is a question.
Just getting upset, Jerry.
The wallet, Jerry. I'm on an angle. Okay, so the term jobber, it's a term of complete and utter disrespect, and we know this. But after the low-key match, I got to ask, was there any social media backlash for you? Because as wrestling fans, we are some of the most passionate people in the world. But as human beings, majority of us can be complete and utter jerks. And we love to poke fun, but yet majority of us have never stepped in the ring. I could say this, I have not stepped in a ring, but I love and have an appreciation for the business and for what you did, taking those bumps. It's not easy. And even taking an 8-second beatdown is not easy. So kudos to you for that. But in terms of that, was there any social media backlash towards you after the low-key match where some fans were just complete and utter jackasses?
I did have someone say the minute I saw Bud Heavy, I knew that it wasn't gonna last long. And then I go through the habitual habit of checking YouTube comments on the daily, because I'm that's what we do. And so I'm reading through them, and most of them were just like, "Holy crap, he killed that poor dude." Nothing really too hateful, except for the one that was literally like, the minute I saw him, I knew it wasn't gonna last long. I was like, "Well, how? You didn't even know who I was wrestling until the music kicked. Like, what made you think that like just from that?" And again, I'm judging a book by its cover. Naturally, if you saw me on Raw, you'd probably say the same thing. Well, that guy's gonna lose. Yeah, it just is what it is. but nothing on like Twitter, nothing, man. And in fact, it was all just really talking about how hard he hit me.
100%. And like I said, I'll admit it. I judge the book prematurely by the cover, but after doing my research, I'll put it again on wax right now. Don't doubt this man, guys. Go check out the YouTube. Go check out the indie stuff. It's impressive. Give him some love and support. And who knows? You could be staring at your next favorite wrestler. We've had a lot of celebrities on the show. I mean, we've had you, we've had Myron, we've had Richard. George Costanza makes regular appearances on the show. Crazy the amount of people that we've had on the show. Lewis knows it's all up. Out of anybody he could have done this with, when I said, yo, let's do this, he was like, I hope it was going to be you. I hope you're still okay with it. I still love it.
Nah, it's cool. I've heard it my whole life, so I'm gonna hear it for the rest of my life. So it's okay, man. It's cool. I actually had 3 questions left, so I'm gonna make the last question a 3-part question. So, what are your goals for 2021? Do you have any dream matches, and do you prefer being a heel or a face?
Ooh, goals for 2021 are to wrestle everywhere, man. I don't want a weekend off. I don't want a weekday off if you can manage it. I want to be all over the place, man. I'm willing to travel and pay the dues, if you will. I just want an opportunity. Just give me the opportunity. And I promise I won't let you down. Dream matches, man. Jacob Fatu is high up on that list because there's watching that man in the ring is mind blowing to me because he's a larger guy, and the way he moves, he doesn't move like that. And to me, that's I aspire to be that way. So he's one. I'd like to get my hands on Key again. Bud versus Low Key round 2 would be really nice to have.
Okay.
And then another one, I'll give you 3. Tom Lawler. They're all in MLW, so this is all plausible, people. Make it happen. And then as far as being a heel or face, I tend to get the baby face a lot more when I go to all these promotions. I guess it's the fun, lovable, big, fat, blonde guy. But I am a heel at a place called Real Pro Wrestling. You guys watched the Zach Monsard match, and I am not a nice guy. And that one, I have a blast. It's a whole different side of me, a whole other side. So
yeah, no, I was watching that match, and you come walking out. I think it was at the Millennial Brewing Company. You're like, "F everybody, F this, F that." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" I wasn't expecting that from Bud Heavy, but no, but that was great stuff, man.
I just had a match there it was last Saturday, and I had somebody rush the ring. I guess I talked enough crap to piss him off, and he rushed the ring with a chair, mind you.
Okay.
And it
wow.
just so happened to be a death match, which I'm sure that you guys are familiar with those.
Yes.
Not sure what he was thinking. There's lots of objects in the ring, and if you made it in,
but he only lasted 8 seconds with you, right? You took him out in 8 seconds, right?
Yeah, it would have been about 3 seconds. That's right. Yeah.
Did you look at him and say, "Nice try, kid"? When it was all said?
I wish it would have gone through my head. No, I was definitely more like, this dude's actually doing this. Like, what are you thinking, sir?
It's like I wish Low Key was here at this time.
Yeah, Key, where you at? I need you.
Low Key was there, he wouldn't even made it a second. He would have stood up and Low Key would have been like, no. You need to
Definitely.
Well, Bud, this has been an absolute amazing conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Please don't forget to hit up the Dirty Blondes and let them know that your MLW Rewind boys are here, and we would love to get them on the show for sure. But before we wrap it up, and before me and GC shout out our socials, please tell everyone where they can find you in the wonderful world of social media.
Heck yeah, dude. Facebook, it's just Bud Heavy. Twitter, Bud_Heavy. And then, like they said earlier, that Twitch, man, twitch.tv/Bud_Heavy. You follow on there. I stream as often as I can, mostly about 4 or 5 times a week. You guys can get to know me a little more. We can hang out, have some conversations, drink a beer together across the internet.
Fantastic. And just because I'm a glutton for self-promotion like my boy GC, You can find me on Twitter at _Straight Talk, Instagram and Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, YouTube Straight Talk Wrestling. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. You know, me and Lewis are almost at 200 subscribers each. We could use some more love, but if you want to shoot a subscribe both our ways, we would appreciate that as well. And GC, Mr. Costanza, the time is now for you to shout out your socials.
Well, I could be seen at 6 p.m. on the Comedy Channel every day. No, actually, no. Okay, actually, for real. Twitter, it's at Shooting Up North, and Instagram is Alliance PW Network. YouTube, Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Head on over there. And by the way, I did subscribe to your channel, Bud, on YouTube, and I will subscribe on Twitch as well. I'm not a gamer, but I'll subscribe. But YouTube, Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Facebook, Alliance Pro Wrestling Network as well.
Awesome. And your personal profile is George Costanza or no? Okay, I'm done.
George Costanza. Yeah, it's George. Yeah, George.
Still, I am. I promise. I've made the declaration. It's live. We got 5 minutes.
No, it's
before the Zoom interview runs out.
It's okay. It's okay. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
I feel like I'm gonna get a text message after and be like, George.
Yeah, this remember 8 when just remember when I see you, man. 8 seconds, man. 8 seconds. When I see
you. Right on in.
8 seconds for you. Only gonna take 4 for me, bro.
Okay, yeah.
I cut it down in half, okay? All right, guys, this has been another episode of MLW Rewind. It's in the can, it's in the wrap, it's on wax, it's done. As always, I'm your host, your boy, George Mackay. We want to thank our special guest today, Bud Heavy, for joining us. And you know my life partner, podcaster in crime, Lewis Carlin. Lewis, let them know. Good night.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Bud, thank you so much for joining us today, man. I know George, he just mentioned that, but thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure having you. You're great to talk to, and anytime, man, you want to come back, please, please, please come on back. You're always welcome, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure, man.
MLW family. So,
heck yeah.
Appreciate you. The MLW Rewind family, the door's always open. And that's it for us. We'll see you guys all next week.